Is Overwatch 2 finally saved? That's the question that we're going to try and answer today in a TLDR. I think it is, but there is room for criticism of some things that weren't talked about that does raise some flags of concern, but it is possible that they are saving them for the future. And most of that stuff is related to the PvE story mode content, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. First of all, let's recap why I think Overwatch 2 is saved. The biggest problem that Overwatch 1 was facing, as we now know, was that the developers had become obsessed, well, not necessarily obsessed, but somewhat infatuated with the fact that they could make a PvE story mode game. However, in development, they realized no matter what they did with the current Overwatch model of the way the game was presented, they couldn't make it as fun, as entertaining, and they shifted development cycle to realizing that Overwatch at its core is the most fun when it's a that the reason people enjoyed it and everything was because it was this fantastic PvP game and one of the, I believe, the only first-person shooter to ever win Game of the Year. So they're finally leaning into that. It only took them 7 years, 6 years, or whatever the timeline is, but they're finally understanding that and going forward with it. And we can see this through their BlizzCon presentation where they showcased, the we had Mauga as a new hero. We have some fantastic stuff coming in terms of a new game mode called PvP. Now, there's a little bit of discussion going around. Is it a good idea to have so many new game modes when all of them just have like one or two maps, which is a little bit concerning? For example, when PvP game mode Clash comes out, it's only coming out with one map. And even right now at the moment, we only really have one Flashpoint map. To be honest with you, I feel like sometimes the game modes are an excuse to experiment with new map styles and objectives, which is obviously why they're doing it. Um, I can see both sides of the argument, but I'm not necessarily against different styles of game modes because it allows for heroes to, experiment that, okay, perhaps Symmetra might be really good on Suravasa, which she is, and, she might not be the best for, let's say, Escort on Hollywood Point 2, right? So it allows for a new dynamic of the game to expand and experiment with our characters and things like that. Of course, we know there is more PvP content in the form of Venture, Space Ranger, and an unannounced, unshowcased tank that we briefly saw a artwork of in the Hero Select screen when Venture was being showcased. You know who Venture are. They are the newest DPS hero that'll come in Season 10. And then in Season 12, we're getting a new support hero called Space Ranger, who are from a colony set in Mars. And they're focused more on being highly mobile. The focus on movement is towards verticality, and they seem to be really, really interesting in terms of design as well. And then, of course, we have the big competitive changes that is coming through to make competitive gameplay, like the competitive overview after a match, be a lot more transparent to the player, while also allowing ranks to be redistributed and reworking some of the systems in play, introducing a new rank above GM called Ultimate. And, the annual rank reset will now become a thing. MMR won't be reset, but the SR will be soft reset, etc., etc. We have new rewards that are coming in the form of emerald weapons. Competitive points will be converted to a legacy currency for the gold weapons, and emerald weapons will require a different type of currency. To be honest with you guys, I'm really not a big fan of so many different currency types, and I really hope that in the future, as a quality of life update, they can find a way to just kind of, not have so many different currency types, because obviously for a new player it can be a little bit confusing and overwhelming that, oh, there's two types of currencies for the shop, there's two types of currencies for competitive rewards. It's a little bit silly. I don't think any other game faces that issue like we do. So unless I'm mistaken, obviously. So if anybody knows a game that faces things like that, let me know in the comments down below. We also know for matchmaking, for competitive, most grouping restrictions will be removed when players are in the same group and have a large gap between ranks, let's say bronze to diamond. The group will be classified as a wide group and you will play against other wide groups. And just like wide groups, player with a small gap between ranks will be classified into narrow groups and they'll be playing against people within the same rank range. But of course, it's not guaranteed. The system will do its best to match players against those in the same rank. Solo queue players will only ever play with other solo queue players or players within narrow groups. So most likely, duos will be considered narrow groups, and duos and solo queue players will be playing together, while, people that play in 3 stacks and above will be sent into 3 stack and above lobbies. Now, that could mean hell for queue times, but we will see. Now, the one thing that I feel like not a lot of people are talking about, which I was really surprised by, is the fact that we are getting some fantastic new PvE content, which might not necessarily be everybody's you know, flavor of the month or of the season. But I actually really like the hero mastery stuff, and it gives you a chance to play Overwatch without focusing on Overwatch too much from the PvP aspect, and you can take a break and do something else with the PvE in terms of the hero mastery. Now, I will say this. The idea with the hero mastery originally was for you to understand how to pick up a hero, but honestly, with the way pick up a hero, learn them, and kind of progressively improve how you play the hero. Now, I'm not going to lie, but that was the idea that they shared with us last year when they talked about the concept, or and they introduced it and all that type of stuff. Now, I'm not going to lie, I kind of hate saying it like this, but disappointingly enough, it doesn't actually do that. If anything, it plays into you knowing how to play the hero and challenging you in these like courses. Now, the courses themselves are fantastic. If you guys have tried the Mercy one, trying to get 5 stars on that, especially map 3, is incredibly difficult. So, in regards to that, it is pretty challenging. It is really cool. It's a breath of fresh air in that Overwatch gameplay style, but it wasn't the vision that I thought that it was going to be with the way that they presented it. Again, the idea with Hero Master was supposed to be that it was going to be a way for people to learn heroes in a more in-depth style. But if anything, with the way it's presented and given to us, it's actually the exact opposite. It's like, if you know how to play your hero, you're going to understand how to do these unique hero obstacle courses. Because a lot of the times, most people are going to YouTube and searching for how to complete these things quickly anyway. I know I did that for Mercy Map 3 because it was challenging. I'll definitely say that. Now, in regards to the hero mastery, there are heroes that are going to be getting it in the next season, which is very exciting to think about. I believe it's next season or the season after that. But the heroes that are getting it, I believe, are Diva, Mei, Genji, Lucio, and I think I missed one more. So if anybody can quickly add that below, I'm kind of going off memory. So yeah, if anybody can let me know down below, I would appreciate it. Yeah. So along with that hero mastery, there will be next year a 3-player co-op mission. Now I got really excited. So if you guys don't know, I play mostly in a 3-stack nowadays with my best friend and my girlfriend, and it is we were always into playing some form of PvE together. So having this, it's a tower defense mission. So the mode will be called Hero Mastery Gauntlet, and it is a tower defense mission style where you're going to defend multiple objectives from incoming enemy waves. Now, the thing that I'm begging the developers is, please make an endless mode to see who can go the highest and things like that, increase the waves. Endless modes are so fun in PvE, and even like this is like having stuff like this, and hopefully you can do them in queue. One of the biggest complaints I have right now for the hero mastery is that why are we not able to go into queue, and while we're waiting for the competitive or quick play or arcade games, can we also not have an option to play the hero mastery and just kind of practice and warm up, or do the courses in there? I feel like that would be so cool. Like we can do deathmatch and all that other stuff, but being able to have access to hero mastery would be really fun. Now, I know in stacks that could be difficult because the hero mastery is supposed to be solo, but maybe for this 3-player co-op or something like that, if you're within the range of being able to access these game modes, maybe, Blizzard, it would be nice if you could allow us to go in a hero mastery tower defense game mode and play with our friends and get our fingers warm until we get into an actual match, and then kind of go crazy with it. So I feel like the PvE 3-person co-op game mode is not being talked about a lot. I think that sounds really fun, and I really hope Blizzard don't mess that up. Right at the moment, their track record with the PvE is pretty mid, not the best, not the worst, good enough for you to have fun with it a few times. So in regards to that, I really hope it's fun to play. Now, while we're on the topic of PvE, before I talk about the closing statement for this video, there's one thing I'm incredibly disappointed about that they should have talked about at BlizzCon, right? And that basically is the PvE story mode. Now, if I recall, right, because I had to watch this at like 2, 3, 4 a.m., right? They didn't actually talk about PvE story mode. Like, they completely glossed over it. It's so bizarre to me that they spoke about PvE content for the hero mastery, for the solo heroes, and then the 3-player heroes, but they refused to talk about the actual story mode. And that kind of raised some flags for me, where it's like, oh, are we just kind of, are we really just going to have like an archives event for the story modes again, where every year we're going to cycle between this stuff? Because I thought we could make it a little bit more consistent, right? And unfortunately, I hate to say it like this, but yes, I do think it's just going to be like an archives event, and we will just get three new stories each time. They're going to be paid, and that's just how it's going to be. Now, on that same note of archives, I really have to ask Blizzard, right? What is stopping you from putting in the archives mission during like a story mode season like thing for people to play for free and let the paid people play the up to date stuff? Like that part of me is very, very confused. Like, why are we trying to erase the significance of archives? It's a free PvE game mode for people to play. It wasn't even brought back during this anniversary, but Junkenstein's came back, you know, Junkenstein's Revenge of the whatever, the Revenge of the Fallen, whatever it's called. That one came back, the newest one came back, the old one came back. So why did we draw the line? And I really want to know what happened to archives. I feel like we should be pushing that, hey, just for good PR, whenever there is a PvE focused, a story mode focused season and people, cannot buy the latest stuff, you should just let them play the old free stuff for free, right? So that's one thing that I will try to make an individual video on this and my personal theories as to why this is happening. And trust me, it's going to be a little bit controversial, but I will do my best to remain unbiased. But besides that, I really want to know what's going on with the PvE story, archives, and all that type of stuff. It really feels like Blizzard is, or Team 4 in this case, is completely lost on what to do with the story mode. And that is a red flag, which is like, hey, Overwatch is kind of saved from the PvP front, which is what we actually want. But Overwatch from the story mode front, well, they committed to it, right? So now if you're going to commit to giving us stuff like this, you should also talk about it. And I really hope at some point they talk about it. I can wait. I'm patient. I have all the time in the world. But I really feel like it was such a big deal that the story mode is that Overwatch 2 was promoted for and by and with. And the fact that it doesn't get talked about in BlizzCon is kind of like a sign of, oh, something's going on behind the scenes, right? Now, I could be wrong and they could be preparing a surprise season that we don't know, but yeah. Speaking of the seasons, we also got Battle Pass themes revealed. They told us that two things. First of all, there's a soft rework coming to the Battle Pass, and there's new collabs coming, and the Battle Pass season themes were teased. Now, the themes that were teased were Eldritch Horror, Egyptian mythology, witches, and an alternate universe where the heroes have become villains and villains become heroes. Basically, Overwatch agents as talent agents and talent agents as Overwatch agents. That is super exciting. I really hope we get that as soon as possible, and most likely, that season where the AU happens, where the heroes become the villains and villains becomes the heroes. Most likely, that's going to be our next PvE story mode mission because it makes the most sense, right? So, man, just think about it. Talon Mercy, Talon Genji, Talon Soldier 76, Talon Ana. Wow. I think it's going to be funny seeing some of the Talon heroes in Overwatch, uniforms. I would love to see how Doomfist and Sigma, I think Sigma would look absolutely, dapper, as they say, in the Overwatch uniforms. So it's going to be really lovely to see the heroes kind of change it up. But man, imagine an assassin like Genji, Talon skin where he looks ferocious. Man, he's going to. I can feel it. They're gonna make Genji look so cool, and I really hope he has like a tribute to the assassin from the PvE missions, right? Like they kind of inspire his armor based on her, because he had like a soft rivalry with her in the PvE missions. For anybody that paid attention to the voice lines, he really loved fighting those assassins. So I really, really hope to see something like that. It's very easy for them to do something like that. And yeah, even Mercy like having a white, black, red Valkyrie suit with a lot more edge to it. Soldier 76, with the Talon soldier look, but with a little bit more aggression behind the design. I'm really excited. Even Ana, man, like Ana with the sniper look, but with her own flair to it. Man, that honestly, it sounds incredibly, incredibly cool, and I can't wait for that. So yeah. So Overwatch's future looks really, really good. Exciting themes for the seasons for skin collectors and battle pass enthusiasts to grind those out. We got new heroes coming out consistently. We have a new push map set in Peru that is most likely going to be centered around Iliari's hometown and things like that. So we got the new game mode, we got hero mastery, we got competitive rework, soft rework at least. We got a new PvE game modes coming out for individual heroes and 3-player co-op. So overall, the future for Overwatch, is it saved? Yes, But is there areas of concern that were glossed over that they should have addressed? Also, yes, because if those things don't go well, then obviously the PvP side will also be affected by it. So while we can appreciate that the PvP is looking good and upwards, there's also a soft commitment from the developers for the PvE content in regards to the story mode that, they do kind of have to commit to us with and show what's going on in regards to that. We have not gotten a behind the scenes look. We have not gotten any form of extra news or information. And only in recency, in terms of the lore, we got a new Overwatch declassified official lore book that came out just a few days ago. So I'm a fan of both the competitive PvP and the casual community lore side of things. I would like to see both go hand in hand, right? So I can kind of talk about both those subjects and topics. So, what do you guys think? Is Overwatch safe? Do they need to do something better? Can they do something more? What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment sections down below. And as always, if you want to support the channel for free, just hit like and subscribe. It means the world to me, helps out with the algorithm. I'm going to keep it real with you. I really, really could use the support. And if you want to support me financially, then you can use the super chat feature somewhere down in the comments below until I get a Patreon set up.